You're listening to the podcast Back to the Real, and I'm your host, Marcus Tegler. Welcome to the podcast Back to the Real, the podcast that discusses how movies influences us, but also has an impact on us. Today's episode is a special format version. We have a special guest. His name is Terry Jones, and he's here today to talk to us from the United States. So I hope you guys will like this format. Okay, Terry, ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
whenever you are.
okay, let's do this. Get to the chopper.
Hey, that's a good Arnold. That's one of my
Thank
favorites
you.
to
I
do too.
practiced lots of time, you know.
The guy that played Predator went to my high school. He was an alumni, like in the 70s.
Oh wow.
Kevin Peter Hall, yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, okay, I recognize his name. Cool.
Yeah. Random fact.
I love those random facts. Terry,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. Could you please tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. Comedian, actor, rapper, or whatever you want to call it these days, because rap, it has changed as a genre to so many different sub-genres. But yeah, that's about me. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been on national TV for stand-up comedy. I'm in two horror comedy films called Bigfoot the Movie, Bigfoot the Sequel, which are available on Tubi, and the other one's YouTube Films right now.
Cool.
But will be available on Amazon and Tubi. And then another movie coming out called Dead Man on the Davenport. Buddy of mine, Ben Deedles, who was in The Boonies and Karis Hell. He's in Carousel, and he has a movie. He has a movie on Tubi as well called War Dogs, and it's his film. So I'm in that.
Cool.
And yeah, so working on a bunch of projects, more music. I'm a dad. First and foremost, that's my number one thing that I am, because no matter what happens in life, I still got to clean up a lot of poop. You know what I mean?
You do.
That's just my life. That's just a life. It's just like, oh man, I just got to clean up shit all day. Like there's nothing else to do. Nothing humbles you. I get like a cool accolade and everyone's like, how do you feel about it? And I'm like, my kids just reminded me that I got to change a diaper, or I have to walk the dog, or, I don't get a moment to enjoy all the things that people think are so cool about me. I don't. They think it's kind of cool, but they're also like, yo, you're a dad, like whatever, dude.
They idolize you basically, and then you're like, okay, but I don't have time for it myself.
Yeah, I think it's it's weird when you're a parent and you do cool things. Like kids love it, they'll brag about it, but you're also their dad. Like they want to humble you. They want you to remember, hey, no matter what, your duty is to be here and to take care of us and feed us. Like, I have to get fruit snacks whenever I'm told. I have to get chips whenever I'm told. And I'm like, oh man, they're like, yo, you were just in Forbes magazine. How do you feel? I'm like, I'm changing diapers. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't care. No one cares. It's just like, yeah, whatever.
Always look on the bright side.
Yeah. And the bright side is that, hey, I got my health. I'm blessed, but I just always laugh at that because I don't see all the cool things that other people do because I'm not allowed to. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I remember being a child as well when your parents could say, "Yeah, just remember that you have your health and that you're okay and blessed in that way." And it's like, "Oh, come on!" But now being an adult, thinking like, "Yeah, I'm very happy. I am." And if you can use the word like blessed, say I feel fine. I feel well. I'm healthy.
Yeah,
I'm doing fine, and that's very important. So I agree.
It is. It is. The last about 5-6 years, I've lost over 36 to 37 people in my life.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Thank you. So a lot of family and friends, and it's been eye-opening because, you know, as we get older, we don't realize the people around us are getting older. We don't realize like things can happen. And I think a lot of times we take life for granted. I know like here in America, that's the big thing. I feel like a lot of people just take their lives for granted. Not saying they don't in Sweden, but I know like most people I meet from other countries, when I go to Canada or in Europe, like people are a lot more grateful. Like they're thankful a lot of times of what they have, because the lifestyle's different. Like the way things are, except like people in France, like Paris, they don't care about anyone or anything. they just care about themselves. That's it. And so, you know, it's always funny to me, but
always blame the French.
I really, yeah. So I always realize that how important it is to, you know, not take life for granted, because these moments, like, while these cool things and accolades I have, and, you know, some days I'm like, wow, there's a lot of them. Like, I didn't even realize that, you know, some of the things that I took for granted are things that someone will never have. Like Gilbert Gottfried's dead. I got to work with Gilbert Gottfried, or John Witherspoon's dead, or Louis Anderson watching my TV set. And he was the one that told me I was funny and sent me an email about it. So, like, these are things that not everyone's ever going to get to experience because these people are gone.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just always take in those moments and I go, you know what, man, this has been a really cool journey, because I think when it's happening, it happens so fast and you're just worried about what's the next thing? And society tries to push you to focus on what's next. What's next? So you won the Super Bowl, cool story, but what's next? Yeah. And it's like, no, man, why are you stressing me out? Like, let me embrace and like really take all this in. So that's been the biggest lesson for me, I think, the last like 5 years, 6 years.
I see. Cool. I hear you. I think like you say, when you experience life-altering events, especially people in your closest friendship or family, when they pass on, I think that for me personally, losing both my parents as well, just a couple of years.
I'm sorry, bro.
Thank you. And I think you realize at the time, you get perspective about things. And you also think about your own mortality, for example, and thinking about how short life is, basically. But then at the same time, make the best out of it. Make the stuff that you want to do and what makes you happy, especially. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I know you took them from me, but Jay-Z, listen. I'm gonna need them back eventually. Just to let you know. No,
how have my people contact your people?
Yeah, this will be like those divorce settlements where the kid gets shared.
Exactly.
No,
every even week I'll have JC and
JC come.
Oh, the scars. Oh, but that's gonna be tricky.
Scars.
Bill or Alexander? We'll have to talk about that.
Bill, yeah.
Bill.
Send over Bill.
Oh, I thought you said you.
That's funny.
Sorry.
No, with John, that was one of my favorite things about working with him is John saw my visions when people couldn't. And John will tell you this, the way my brain works is not like normal. Okay. So it's not like the typical, I'm going to write down a panel and like write down a script. I've always, even on the movie sets I've been on, they've given me a script, but they're like, yo, do what you got to do, because they trust that I'm going to create something.
Yeah.
Or like a character, they trust my comedic timing and my ability. So I've always been really good at like improving and creating these moments, but I'll always have the ideas. John is one of the only people I've ever worked with, I think outside of Jordan Beckham, who is a famous photographer as well. John knew exactly like no other. Like if I said, this is the vision, he shot it like how I envisioned, or he caught the idea. So I've always been someone who's always wanted to create what I want to create, especially like being Black American. It's like, there's like a boundary that they want you have to stay in within this box of what they consider Blackness. And people police that blackness and they try to tell you that's not black enough or that's not what we should do. But I've always stepped outside of that boundary and never been afraid without losing my blackness or being proud of my culture or speaking about it or for what I have to do. But I will always be as creative as I want.
They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all my chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all the chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. They want me selling like Chaplin.
And that's always been like something that scared people. Like I say in the song, Tutankhamun, Jack Johnson, I use those examples because Tutankhamun came back and said, you know what? I want to talk about the old gods again. And they were like, nah. And Jack Johnson was this crazy boxer. Like they thought this dude was nuts because he fought in the time of bare knuckle and he fought during the time when they created the whole idea of, like, I'm a wrestling fan, Royal Rumble. The idea of a battle royal came from what Jack Johnson used to do as a kid, which is they would put a group of young black kids in and make them fight until someone is knocked out. And sometimes they would blindfold them. Mm-hmm. And it was whoever comes out of here, the battle royal is the winner. Jack Johnson fought hundreds of fights. And even when you look at his record, it's still impressive for how many fights he fought. But he was always standing up for himself and being whoever he wanted to be. So I've always looked up to people like that, like Prince and Jack Johnson or Muhammad Ali, like outspoken black people who are just like, yo, I'm gonna just do what I want to do. You can't tell me how to be creative or what I can't do.
No.
There's another one I would like to name, but we can't name him no more because he decided to go on a rant on Twitter, and that was like one of my favorite artists. I think it's Morrissey, but Black Morrissey. We'll call him that because that dude. But you know, you get these people that are like outspoken and they stand up, and I've always appreciated that. So, you know, with life being short, I love creating what I want to create the way I want to. And thanks to Jay-Z, I was able to create so many visions that probably would never have been able to happen with anyone else.
I can only agree with you with seeing the stuff that he's made. I'm extremely fortunate and thankful that he's here as well, helping me out with the podcast. It couldn't be done without him as well. So yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. But speaking of, now when you talked about being creative, that's also a part of me doing the podcast, for example, because my regular work is, I work at a university in Lund in Sweden. And I also had my master's in film studies there, so that's my passion is movies basically, and it's been since I was a child. And
sweet.
So that's where the idea came from, because I felt like I wanted to do something creative as well. I've worked within the movie business just for a short time. I made some commercials, I made some music videos, and some short movies, but then I had a little break, and then I just started thinking as I turned the big 40, but thinking like, I just felt like, I really wanted to do something creative again, and that's then suddenly out of the blue came the idea, maybe I should do a podcast focused on movies. And one thing that I really, really like doing, what gives me a lot of energy, and I also think is so much fun, is talk to other people about movies, and especially their connection to the movies and their passion for the movies, that, or maybe not much passion depending on which kind of movie they've watched. So and that's how the idea spawned for the podcast, and that having people as guests that I find very interesting, and having the perspective. And that's why our mutual friend John mentioned that you are a huge movie buff. I know that you're stand-up, like you said, stand-up comedian, you're a musician, you're producer, and but that you had, the core has always also been that you're a huge movie fan as well.
Huge movie fan. Yeah, TV, movie. What's your favorite movie, by the way, before I even...
I think my all-time favorite still has to be the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope.
Oh wow. Okay. That's a good one.
I think it's one of my earliest movie memories from the start as well. I usually say it's like between both of them have Harrison Ford. It's between Star Wars and Blade Runner. I think it's the two of my
Oh,
all time.
Blade Runner is sick. You know, I'm a huge fan of Rucker Hauer, by the way. And I love Rucker so much that I got his video game that he did before he died.
Oh, wow.
It's called Observe. I think it's a Observant or Reporters. It's something along those lines. But you play as Rucker Hauer, and they just remastered it. So it looks even better. And you're trying to, it's the cyberpunk thing, and he's a detective.
Oh, wow.
And you're trying to find, like, what's going on in this dystopia, and there's, like, monsters and cybernetic people, and you're going in this apartment building. So it kind of has, like, that Dread feel, like the movie Dread and The Raid.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think it's called Observant Reporter. Or Observer. It's Observer.
I had no idea about that. He had a video game. This was new knowledge to me.
Yeah.
So, that I have to really look up. That was very interesting.
Oh yeah, you gotta. Even if you can't play it, watch someone play it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's one of the scariest games I've ever played in my life.
Ooh.
It's
You
a
sell it
horror
very well
game.
here. I think I have to try it now.
And listen, I play a lot of horror games, but this is up there with like Fatal Frame and Silent Hill to me, because Layers of Fear, it's the same company that did Layers of Fear, and they did the second one with Tony Todd. But this one has, I think the fact that it's like dealing with technology, and that's too realistic for me. That's why it's so scary, because like technology is scary to me, but not in a bad way, but like in the sense of it's more realistic than me thinking a demon is going to climb out the earth and like chop my head off, or, you know, someone's like a zombie kid is going to climb out of a lake and kill me with a machete. Like, these things don't feel real, but technology, yes, absolutely.
That's like Skynet.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working with Skynet type shit for a while now, so I see it, and I'm like, you know what? One day this dude is just going to be like, I've had it with humans. Let's just take y'all out. So I'm trying to make friends with the AI now. So yeah,
That's a good first step.
yeah.
But Terry, since you're now a special guest on the podcast, the custom is that the guest decides on what they want to talk about in the podcast. And so my question to you is, what would you like to talk about today?
Anime.
Anime.
You see, I got the Goku. I got the Goku hat on. I'm
Nice
ready,
one.
man.
I dressed up for the occasion.
Yeah, no, I love that shirt, man. I love it. I love anime, and John was like, you know what, it'd be a good topic to talk about anime, and I was like, you know what, that's true, because anime has influenced a lot of what I do creatively. So yeah.
That sounds really amazing, and I'm happy to hear your experience and stories about how you get into anime, and especially what you like about the anime as well. So go ahead.
Is there a specific question you have about it, or you want to start?
There's many, because if I start with, do you remember when you first came in contact with anime? Was it a particular anime story or studio?
Yeah, so in America, the way that anime, like you would get like VHSs, and there was like old anime, like, you know, if you turn on Cartoon Network, you would see Speed Racer. Or if you were lucky, I think they had a couple little Astro Boy things. But my introduction to anime really hit in the 90s when I was a kid, because I think they brought it into America. So, excuse me, we had Dragon Ball Z come in.
Yeah.
And you had to get up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday or 7 a.m. to watch it. And I remember like watching it and being like, yo, what is this? This is amazing. And Pokemon came in, and that was another one. You had to get up at 7. It was the cartoon you watched before school, and it came in on Fox.
Cool.
And then Sailor Moon. Those were the three first big introductions, I feel like, to a lot of Americans when it came to anime. Unless you already had like somebody who was into anime already, which was very rare. And then like a lot of people don't know this, but anime is very heavy in the black community, especially like in the hood. So like growing up, a lot of my friends in the hood was watching anime and Dragon Ball Z. Like we would watch X-Men and Batman and Spider-Man and all those things. But Dragon Ball Z, man, I used to go to the library and we would print out the pictures, and I'll send Jay-Z some of my artwork. We used to draw the characters, and that was a big thing for us. So after that, we had Toonami through Cartoon Network, and Toonami had more shows. Mm-hmm. So it started being then Adult Swim. So you'll watch like Dragon Ball Z, Tenchi Muyo, and like Rurouni Kenshin during the day. And then Adult Swim would have my favorite anime, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah.
Then you would watch Inuyasha and Tenchi Muyo and The Big O, which was a blend of Batman. I think we kind of like just started finding new ways to like anime. Also, like the parallel between gaming and anime is so different, but it's the same, especially the stuff that comes from Japan, because they would get some of the same artists to do it. So like Akira Toriyama, I know, did some stuff for one of the Squaresoft games. And you would see more and more like Final Fantasy is a blend of anime and gaming. And Hideo Kojima, who is one of my favorite video game, I'm a Metal Gear fan. Right. They blended anime with it because they had those anime style characters, the look, the whole like story and vibe, the way that the action was. And I have his one of his first big games. It's very rare. I have it on Sega CD. It's called Snatcher.
Okay.
And it's inspired by Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. So it's a cyberpunk game, and I think it's selling for like $1,000 a disc now.
Oh, but, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people, it's a super rare game, but it's all anime. It's all like anime style point and click. So yeah, once I had that first introduction, I think we saw a huge difference in change. Like, oh, okay, this is the thing now. We could just watch anime anywhere. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was my introduction.
Do you remember if there was something that was which you felt stood out for other like cartoons or animation? Like you felt like there was a common denominator within the anime that you watched that you felt like, oh, I like this extra much. Like, is there a particular one, or just the style compared to like traditional animation? Yeah, like traditional animation, because I can remember, for example, my first contact with anime was, if you might have seen them, it was the Space Adventure Cobra. And there was also an anime series called Star Singer. And those were like sci-fi inspired TV shows. And I think I'm a huge sci-fi nerd as well. And I think that already started with that kind of anime when it was that kind of like sci-fi aspect of it. Star Singer, for example, in both Space Adventure Cobra took its place in space, for example, in space adventures, basically. And Star Singer there was 3 guys and a princess. They were traveling around space together and going on adventures together. And I think that was what made me feel appeal to it. And I also remember the first time I saw Akira, the movie. Especially the style, the bold vision that they had, and especially there's something about the animation in particular that I find very, very fascinating from like traditional. If I can use, maybe for example, Disney, Hanna-Barbera, those kinds of animation, which are good in themselves, but this was like something new, something fresh, something you hadn't seen really before, and the way it was animated.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing for us in the character design, like seeing certain muscles, certain looks, certain styles. They always had a suave character. The way that I feel like Eastern entertainment, I'm gonna just say this, Eastern entertainment is way better than what we have here in West. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of like Korean films and Japanese movies and stuff like that. So, because there's more philosophy behind it, and I was somebody who studied philosophy at one point. So, for me, I like there to be some sort of substance, and anime has a substance that cartoons didn't. Even if it was action oriented, I mean, outside of like Batman and Spider-Man and X-Men, that had these lessons inside of them. I mean, Wolverine gave himself to God at the end of one episode of X-Men, which, you know, like you can't have that on TV today, but back then, I remember as someone who grew up in the church, I thought it was cool. I was like, man, it's Wolverine. But, but anime overall, outside of those comic book characters, because comic books are so powerful anyway, manga and anime have that same vibe, but they just take it another level. So you get a chance to fall in love with so many different characters, the art, the design, the color, the style.
Exactly.
It's all there.
I agree. And I can also, sorry for interrupting. I just remember as well, like you mentioned with the games, for example, also one of my first introductions to when it was gaming, for example, was Street Fighter.
Oh yeah.
And the visual style there as well. And then from the Japanese game studios come over, and then you have both the game, and then they turned it into an animated movie as well. That was extremely well done.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's extremely well done.
And there's a series called Street Fighter 2V. There was an anime series that they did as well. And you know, that animated movie was my introduction to Alice in Chains. And
Really?
I remember so I was a kid, and I got my baby singing them bones. So and she's like 18 months singing them bones. So and it's absolutely hilarious. But no, I remember Ken was driving his car and he was playing them bones, and it would play like during like those scenes when Ken's speeding in a Porsche, and anime introduces you to so much. And my favorite thing about anime is not always just the anime. I'm a sucker for a movie with a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
If you have a good soundtrack, that changes everything. And anime has top-notch soundtracks. Like one of my favorite animes, Trinity Blood, which is about Krusnik, which the Krusnik eats the vampires, and the vampires are in the holy war with the humans. And this guy is like Clark Kent. He's a priest, but he pretends to be like this bumbling, oh, I'm so clumsy. Like it's Clark Kent. I mean, it's straight up Clark Kent. But the theme song is by a band, a Japanese band called Bucktick. And the song is called Dress. And if you've never heard Dress is one of the smoothest, sickest songs I've ever heard in my life. The way that the bass is and like the whole mood. And this song was recorded in like 92, but the anime was like from the 2000s. And it was such a good song that they used it for the opening. And it's perfect. Like we have some of the best music. One of my favorite composers, Joe Hisaishi, did a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff. And so Princess Mononoke and stuff like that. But he also did composing for movies, like Brother with that has Omar Epps, and it has Takeshi Kitano in it. And you know, soundtracks just make it. And that, like, if an anime is good but has a terrible soundtrack, I won't watch it. Okay. Like if it don't got no good music, I can't get down with it. Yeah. All my favorite animes have Yoko Kanno, they have Joe Hisaishi, they have Noriyuki Asakura, who did the music for one of my favorite video games, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, but also one of my favorite animes of all time, Rurouni Kenshin. So I always felt like the music was important. And one of the other cool things that I love is how when you watch these different animes, the characters, how much emphasis they put in the characters. Like, yeah, there's some silly stuff and things, but it's very deep meaning.
Yeah.
You know, Dragon Ball Z is another one of my favorites. As you see, I got the Goku hat, and I love Goku and Vegeta and so many different characters. But Dragon Ball Z, for me, it was like the story of Superman, right? But to another level, because there were like other Saiyans, and then they're having children, and now they have part Saiyan kids. And it's this race of people that came from like a planet that died. And there's only like two or few, actually three, I think, 3 or 4 now, full-blooded Saiyans.
Yeah.
And I think they introduced some others in like other dimensions because they did like the Dragon Ball Super crossover.
Oh, right.
But the thing that I found interesting is like, I know RZA said that he felt like Dragon Ball Z and the story of Goku was like the black man. And I really thought about it. I was like, wow, like if you think about it, even with like Kung Fu Panda, right? Goku, they kind of got that inspiration. Goku is someone who came to this planet with no memories. He has no idea. He was raised on Earth, raised a certain way. And when he found out that he was Saiyan, he had pride in it, but he didn't focus on it. It wasn't his focus. His focus was to be the best at what he does. And as someone who's Black American, that's that same vibe that I live by. It's that, yeah, I know, but a lot of the stuff that y'all think I come from isn't even what y'all think I come from. You know, we don't have a full history with Black Americans. We don't have that full history because a lot of our records weren't kept. And some records, we were actual property. So you got to find property records to find some of your family members, which is crazy. So like right next to the house, the horse and the barn is your great, great, great granddaddy. So it's, you know, it's kind of difficult at times where I meet people who are white or Asian or Latin, and they have like this full history, and they could tell me the story they could tell me what tribe the grandma's from, or they could tell me what, you know, town their grandma grew up in. I got people telling me what part of Poland their grandmother came from. We don't have that. My cousin took a maternal test, the maternal haplo test, and found out our origins is from Southeast Asia. So,
oh wow,
you know, I'm either from like of Chinese or Mongolian descent, or because that's something in that area, because I shared the haplo group with Asians on my mom's side. And there's so many theories I had on how that is. I have Scandinavian descent, we found out in the test, and that blew my mind, because I was like, oh, that's my obsession with Vikings. So, you know, like I understand why I like Norse stuff so much now, and it feels like it calls to me. But also, I have Irish family members and Irish ancestors, and that's how I got the Scandinavian, just like the Asian descent could have came from East Africa, because they believe that's a possibility. Also, they would ship over Asians as indentured servants to work on the islands and to come work on the railroad, which I think we're finding out there's like random family members in Jamaica. So, you know, that's a big thing. So, you know, there's so much focus. We focus so much on, we want to know our past. We want to know our culture.
of course, yeah.
And while Goku wanted to, he also was like a character that was just like, oh, cool, this is just who I am. It's a part of me. It doesn't define me. Where you have the opposite, Vegeta, who is pure Saiyan, the prince of Saiyans. And a lot of times I've had those issues with like Africans, or, you know, it's the idea that we're the bootleg version of an African. We're not the actual African. And there's so much focus and emphasis on that.
I was always excited, man, at Duquesne when I saw another black dude. And I ran up on the wrong black dude once, right? I went up to him like, hey, brother, what's happening? He said, brother, what do you mean by brother? Like, nah, bro, we are black. We got to stick together. He's like, I'm African. You're bootleg African. Get the fuck away from me. Oh, my God, this shit racist as hell, dog. I wish someone would have told me about this. I better tell Obama, because that shit was racist. Africans don't really fuck with black people for real. That's why when racist people say dumb shit to me like go back to Africa, I'm like, I can't, bro. That shit ain't gonna work out, man. They don't want me over there. I don't know if you heard me just say that. They don't want me. They'll be like, look, this one's broke. Take it back. Shit, this one has too much Irish in it. I need at least Ethiopian and Uganda. That's okay.
But we don't emphasize on that. We've always just created from what we had here in America. Which you look at Prince, Michael Jackson, guys like Wu-Tang, artists like Mos Def. I could go on, Tupac, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. So many people created, and we created from what we knew around us. And that was always a very strong point for me with when it came to Goku, and that characterization.
That's a really interesting connection that you're doing, and when you now talk about it, it feels like, yeah, I can see the connection that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that you said it was very popular within your community where you were living in, for example. Do you think it's the same feeling there within, for example, friends that you hang out with that also watched anime, that they also felt they could identify with characters more in anime, and or maybe the situations?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have this joke anytime you see somebody with like a anime profile picture talking shit on you on the internet, it's probably a black dude. So it's someone black, that's a black dude talking that shit. You go to his profile and you're like, I was right. But I think
Sorry,
I think
hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious because it's true. You probably had it happen, and then it's like the most hood dude that you never want to fuck with, and he's you think he's a nerd, and he's been training like actual Goku his whole life so he could whoop people's ass. And that's his profile picture. It's fucking Goku. No, but yeah, I think for a lot of us, fiction was a way for us to escape a lot of things that were happening with us. And I think anime and anime characters are good for that. You know what I mean? Like they're really, there's always these really cool characters that you just fall in love with as you're like, yo, these guys are it. There's so much fun and with this character, or this character reminds me of myself, or he's fun like me, or he's funny, or or somebody you wish you could be. I tell a lot of people this, and a lot of people had agreed with me online when I made this status, but I always said, you got to be kind to people. Like you can't treat people shitty, and especially like in our community, as we got older, like the millennials was the group of people to kind of be like, to set the stage for the next generation to be able to just openly dress like anime characters and rap. Because like Lupe Fiasco was doing that before, but nobody was really like giving Lupe his credit. And Lupe was rapping about Gundams and laser cannons and lightsabers and stuff like that. And if it wasn't for Lupe, I wouldn't be able to rap the way I do, because I never got into music, and I only did comedy music because I thought no one would take me serious. And that was like something that I was concerned about. But now you can use these references and still be serious and be cool. I think like a lot of fiction is just a way for us to escape, right? We all have that thing. And I think for a lot of Black people I knew growing up, like for me, I kind of wished that like when bad things were happening to me, or I saw bad things around me, or I knew people getting killed by gun violence that was like prominent growing up. Because I lost my first friend when I was 9 to gun violence. So, when I think about that, his mother and his baby sister were all murdered. You kind of wish you had somebody like a Goku around, or a Kenshin Himura, or any of these characters, Batman, whatever. I always wish they were around. And then you kind of want to become those people because you want to make things better for others and help people. And it kind of teaches you like, oh man, like if Superman was here, he could have saved my friends, or he could have saved my friend's dad, or he could have stopped the drive-by down the street. But we didn't have those types of things saving us. So it was an escape. It was a way for us to kind of, figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think you're on point there as well, especially as a child growing up as well, when you had certain characters that you could relate to, or if you felt some connection to, or maybe like aspire to be like. I mean, you mentioned like Star Wars, like Luke Skywalker was the biggest hero I remember when growing up. And one of my biggest heroes in TV was like Stringfellow Hawk in Airwolf. He was the coolest guy, and he had an amazing chopper he was flying. And many times you thought, if he could come and rescue me in a situation or something, like blow all the people that are bad people away. But I think it's a very interesting thing that, and then why it's so important when you write a story, and especially characters that you can relate to, the character traits, for example, that you can identify with and you can relate to and you appreciate when you watch a certain story, or like if it's TV series or if it's a movie, if it's animated. I mean, it singles out how important that aspect really is as well. So I think you're really on point there as well. So we'll take a break here.
They can't handle it. You know what I mean? Too many niggas, when they find out niggas could talk other than do, wah, ho, they got scared to death. You know, like one day somebody said, nigga, talk. Well, motherfucker, I've been wanting to tell you something. I beg your pardon?
They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all my chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all the chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. They want me selling like Chaplin, Buster Keaton type acting, black and white type action, no noise in my actions. Shut up nigga, just dribble. Shut up bitch, show a nipple. Twerk something, make it wiggle. Fuck your thoughts, Jimmy Kimmel. That's a Glock, not a taser. Stun on my phaser, one in the chamber, they metal on flavors. I am the symbol who conquered this fear. I am a presence, they tremble in fear. To gas in our rallies and death to the tally, just shout at the valley. I'm living that valley, they say we deserve it. They're blessed no purpose. I am a purpose, JoJo's a purpose, Dante a purpose, Brianna on purpose. Yeah. Ray Fisher's in the bullshit, Usher Bands in the bullpit. I'll lead to the bullshit. Feeling real Tupac. I get the guns caught. 7 cars you say. Labor insurance car here. Pull me over, their guns out. Pull me over, my hands out. Pull me over, their guns out. Pull me over, my hands out. My baby's in here, please don't shoot. Blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Blacker the berry, the tighter the noose. Yeah. They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all my chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. They want me selling like Chaplin. They don't like outspoken black men. They want to end all the chapters. They want to be all the masters. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. But I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm two-tongue army. Watch who you step with Dark Side Omega. Genesis Sega. I'm Kenny Omega. My mask got Vega. I'm winning in Vegas. Yeah. Score on my left like Horace. I want all my flowers like Flores. Time of my day like Morris. We're worth more dead than alive. Big girls can't help us survive. Ratings just rise at our demise. Pull out Skittles, dead. Wallet, dead. Breathe, dead. Born, dead. Capital rights, live. Sick of this shit, yeah, it exists. I'm talking my shit. They don't want this. They want me dead. They want me quiet. Freedom, I buy it, yeah. More Freeman than Morgan, yeah. More Freeman than Morgan, yeah. More American than Norris, yeah. More American than Norris, yeah. Shit, my bad, y'all. Glitch in the Matrix. Red pill check. Sensu bean check. Ultra instinct check. He's arrived.
The one-eyed king.
Peter Piper picking peppers. I don't give a fuck about you lying steppers. I'm gonna Carolina review peppers. We loaded up. Doomsday preppers. They spraying bullets. They ain't spraying peppers. We winning all our endeavors. Separated up like some lepers. But me and the team together, we deliver in any weather. They want me sounding like Chaplin, but I refuse to be capping. On these beats I be snapping. Tell them the truth is what's happening. Round of applause. They start clapping. Yeah. Gotta push hard for the babies. Cujo on leash with the rabies. They wanna kill all the babies. Yeah. They want me sounding like Chaplin. Yeah. They want me selling a Chaplin, yeah. but I'm too Jack Johnson. But I'm
Two-tongue army.
yeah.
Thank you so much for watching the podcast. If you enjoyed what you were watching, please remember to hit like and subscribe. It helps me with the channel and it helps me create more content. See you next time.